Hello everyone, Kate here from Keight Krafts, sharing with you another project for Hollow Tree Hobbies. Let's get started. So to kick things off, we are going to be doing a bit of Distress Oxide ink blending, and we are starting off with some shaded lilac, and I'm just creating a little bit of a sausage looking blob here, and I'm going to go back around the edges of our little sausage blob here with some Wilted Violet. And I'm not trying to create the perfect gradient because I want to be able to have these colors pop out more so in areas than others. So this isn't going to be a smooth blend. So this could be for people who are just starting out or experts in the art of blending. So next we are going to bring in this bright blueprint sketch. Don't worry, this is going to get darkened up a little bit in a minute here because this is bright, but I want to be able to have some of this bright blue kind of poke through. Like in other galaxy scenes that I've seen, people have gone over with blobs of black soot, and I didn't want to quite do that. I just kind of wanted to draw your eye into the center of the card. So here we are going to go in with some chipped sapphire, and it is dark and I do like it, but I want it a little bit darker. So after I'm done blending, which I'm not going to blend all the way to the bottom because we're going to have a little scene there and it's not going to matter. Let me grab a piece of paper here to kind of hold my hand together. But I wanna have it just a smidge darker, and I find that if I went around the edges with some blueprint or with some black soot, I could go back in with the chipped sapphire and the blueprint sketch and kind of have them just a smidge darker than what I needed them to be. So here again, we're going back in with that chipped sapphire, and you could work this back and forth as much as you want. Again, with the blueprint sketch, we'll come back in that center bit with some of that shaded lilac and wilted violet. And then once we're done that, we're going to take some Yeti Pigment Ink onto our stamping block, add a little bit of water, and we're going to get a fine, thin paintbrush and do a little bit of splatter. And I like the thinner paintbrushes because I can get these tiny little dots depending on how much I add to the paintbrush. If I oversaturate the paintbrush, I get fat dots, and if I don't have enough on there, I get little tiny dots. So next, I've gone ahead and cut a panel that is 5.5, and I want to say this is probably about 1.5 inches wide. And then I ended up taking the Slimeline stitched hillside border and cut that out just to give us a little bit of a ground. And we're going in with some of Fawn's dye ink. Now I've got Storm Cloud, I've got some Hippo, and I've got some, I think that's Jet Black. Now you want to be careful not to use the ones that are Copic friendly or alcohol ink friendly. Those ones I don't use for blending. Those ones are strictly for stamping because they're alcohol ink friendly, but the dye inks are okay to use. So I've gone ahead and added in some of my black dye ink here from Fawn with some water, and we're just going to create a little bit of splatter as well. I like this because it pulls the color up and it gives you a different effect to the ground. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of magical the way it kind of came out. So after I've let this sit off to the side to dry, we are going to add some glue to the back. Make sure my glue comes out properly. And then we're going to go around the edges here. And that way we got a secure fit with our little hillside here. And as you can see, I kind of stamped on the back, and I accidentally dropped some stamps onto the paper as it shifts, so I ended up having to start that one back over. So next, I'm going to take a little bit of my Winka Stella onto a block here, and I'm going to splatter it all over the night sky. I've gone ahead and covered that up with a scrap piece of paper. This was just a little added bit that I wanted to add, just to kind of give it a little extra twinkle. And then we're going to take our heat tool here and we are going to dry that up nice and neat. And I really like this heat tool because it is quite quiet as opposed to the other one that I had that was just so loud and like whiny, and I hated using it, and now I actually do enjoy using the heat tool. So next I've gone ahead off camera and I have colored the critters and the trees, and the rocks from the Wild Wolves stamp set. And I've gone ahead and used the coordinating dies to cut them out. And now it's time for just assembling everything. So I kind of off-cut some of these things, and I thought, you know what? I don't like how I cut them, but that's okay. We're still going to use them. We're just going to get a little creative with them. So what I've done here is I've I've glued that tree kind of off of the panel there, and we're gonna let that sit for a minute. I'm gonna glue down the rock, and we're gonna put our critters on there. And I don't know, I really enjoyed putting this one together, especially with that sky. And the Wild Wolf set's probably my favorite canine set that they have, that Fawn has. Yes, I know I said canine because I didn't want to call wolves dogs because I don't see them as dogs. They're a different breed and species to me altogether, I guess. They're kind of magical. Now, if I could properly put these guys down without dropping them all over the place with the glue on top, we'll finally get there in the end, but so here we've got just the next critter here, and we're gonna pop him down right there, smoosh him down, give him a good press, and then I decided to add the little crow from the set. I think the crow is really cute, and I wish there were more crows in there. I mean, I know there's another set, I think it's Happy Harvest, that have the crows, but I kind of like how small this one is. So off camera, I've kind of cut off that tree, and I still want to use it, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and I'm going to glue it to the edge of the other side. So it kind of looks like there's another tree back there, and I didn't like how the bottom of it looked, so we're going to take that extra rock that I have, add a little bit of glue to make sure that it sticks to both layers because we've got a couple of layers we're working with. And then I've got the moon, and I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to put it, and hindsight's always 2020. I probably should have put the sentiment down first before I put the moon down, but I wasn't kind of thinking. As you can see here, I could have tucked that in behind the moon, kind of poking out and flagged the end of it, but yeah, I didn't kind of think that one through. I never tend to think the sentiments through. It's kind of like I get the scene in my head, and the sentiment's always kind of like the last I think of. Although sometimes not all the time, but most of the time. So I went with the sentiment, I am glad you're in my pack. And this I think would be a great anniversary card for a lover of canines. And or, even a friend. Or, it could be just to anybody really who you are glad to have in your pack. So next we are going to go around the edges of our panel with some of our Bearly Arts glue and make sure we got lots there, but not too much because we want to make sure that this gets a good stick and won't lift up in the corners. We'll write out our Hollow Tree Hobbies in glue with some hearts and some squiggles, and we'll go ahead and we will line everybody up to our card panel so that way we get a nice and easy fit, and then give that a good mash down, and here you have my finished card. I really hope you enjoyed today's program and you found some value to it. Don't forget to check out the Hollow Tree Hobbies website and social media, and as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.